will be performing the role of confined space attendant. This class is required if someone is going to become a confined space supervisor so they understand all the roles. This training may be the most important training out of the 4 different levels or roles of confined space entry work because you are directly responsible for watching over confined space entrants who are sometimes in dangerous spaces doing work that could be very harmful or deadly if performed in an unsafe way, which seems to be a large number, but they are all related to the same overall responsibility, caring for the safety of the entrance and the confined space. Effects of the hazardous material in question can be found if the attendant or supervisors will look over the SDS. We are showing you section 2 and 4 of an SDS here with the potential behavioral effects highlighted. There are several other sources of chemical hazards and human effects. Involves monitoring inside and outside the confined space for hazards. The inside is typically most relevant because it directly affects the entrants who are exposed to the actual or potential hazards inside the space. However, the attendant must also ensure no hazards from outside the space will endanger the entrance. Click on these icons shown below to learn more about some potential hazards that can happen outside the confined space which might require the attendant to order the entrants to evacuate from the space. Be reminded that these hazards are not all-inclusive, so the attendant must be mindful of anything which might endanger the entrance. Sometimes workmen performing work outside the space like welding or cutting that will throw sparks near the entrance to the confined space. In these cases, the attendant will need to evacuate the confined space as the hazard being created outside the space may trigger a hazard inside the space. This would be especially relevant if the space had the potential to contain an explosive atmosphere due to a flammable residue inside the space. Many other examples can be possible, so it is important for the attendant to ensure no outside workers will affect the safety of the entrance. When confined space entrances or exits are in a facility forklift path or a private or public vehicle road, then the attendant must ensure that the entrance can exit and hazards outside the confined space. The hazards which we monitor here are ammonia or NA, oxygen, carbon monoxide or CO, lower explosive limit or LEL, and lastly hydrogen sulfide or H2S. The confined space supervisor is the only person who can authorize entrants to go back into a confined space after they have left because of unacceptable entry conditions. Even the confined space entry attendant is not authorized to do this. For oxygen must always be between these two numbers. If they are higher or lower, then the attendant must require removal of the entrance and work with the supervisor to restore acceptable levels in order for the supervisor to allow re-entry.